What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you tune in and you check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to talk about the situation that's going on with Rich Paul, Austin Reeves, and you got LeBron James, right? And first of all, Jason Whitlock thinks that LeBron James should separate himself from Rich Paul, right? But the more I think about the situation with Rich Paul, Austin Reeves, and LeBron James, the more I think it was a play from the beginning. Because if you think about it, LeBron James did. I think he missed like the first 6 weeks of basketball, right? And throughout that first 6 week, you had Austin Reeves in there killing, you know, just doing everything, scoring and assists and stuff like that on the offensive end, right? He was killing, his numbers was up, and he looked good. What that did for Austin Reeves was it raised his value. And so when he raised his value, his stock went up. That was good for LeBron James and Clutch Sports, right? Because now this guy has his trade value has gone up. So I'm thinking that LeBron James been in the league for like what 20 something years. He's probably, he's privy to what some things have been said, like in the meetings and stuff like that. When you talk about player negotiations and trade and stuff like that, and the value of different players, right, and what teams look for. So the more the more I think about this situation, I think that LeBron James and Rich Paul did this on purpose so they could raise this guy's stock. He would raise his stock, and then they would be able to somehow convince the Lakers to trade him and bring in, somebody that could help Luka and LeBron, and then, LeBron to get to play another year. To me, this really don't sound far-fetched. That's what, and the reason why, and another reason why it's not far-fetched is because this guy, Rich Paul, really he's on script. He's not really going to say anything to damage LeBron James. So, and LeBron James will come back like he did and try to separate himself from Rich Paul as far as the statements that he made. But he can't do that. He can say that, but he's not able to do that. So this, in my opinion, it's just looking more like LeBron James and Rich Paul. This is a play for them to get Austin out of there, get the guy, Jaren Jackson. Is this Jaren Jackson? The guy from the Memphis Grizzlies, to get him in there with Luka. He's a better defender than Austin. Offensively, they probably about the same. So you'll have him and Luka, and then LeBron James will be there, be there too, because you'll have three really good basketball players. Now, if the Lakers gonna go for that, I don't know, but that's the play I think for LeBron James. And them, I think they trying to work some things out behind the scene, and it's crazy that they would try to do that, especially so openly. Like the fact that they trying to do that so openly just lets me know that they're kind of desperate when they put it out there. They're kind of desperate, because if you can do this behind scenes, then you don't need to go public with it. But they're trying to get some momentum, maybe from Lakers Nation. I don't know. It just seems like an act of desperation, which I think is going to backfire on them. But Jason Whitlock and his panel has some interesting things to say about LeBron James and Rich Paul. So I'm going to play the audio from that, and I'm going to react to that because they had some interesting things to say about this situation also.
All right, let's play the Rich Paul clip where I think he's suggesting that they trade Austin Reeves, and then LeBron is distancing himself from it. Let's play the Rich Paul clip first.
If I was the Lakers, I would probably be targeting the Memphis Grizzlies as a trade partner
for
Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, that'd be a great fit.
I would.
For whom?
Well, that's the thing, because you got to figure out the package. This comes with a
Austin Reeves.
This comes with a very unemotional attachment because Austin is beloved, which he should be.
But he's about to get paid.
He's an underdog. And here's the thing. If there's a world where you can do what's best for your team and do what's best for Austin, because Austin deserves to get paid right now. I love him as a Laker, but if that is a situation where we get in balance, because if you put all the money into just the backcourt, and then you're kind of like your flexibility is restricted going forward to fill out the rest of the team, then that's kind of like riding when you just have the training wheels on your bike, but the one training wheel is off and it kind of leans. That's kind of like that.
It's hard in the NBA with the aprons
very hard. Yeah,
to have redundancy.
But that would be
like if you have redundancy on your team.
All right. So that's Rich Paul suggesting they trade Austin Reeves. LeBron has come out in an interview and distanced himself from Rich Paul's comments. Let's read the quote. "I think you all know by now Rich is his own man, and what Rich says is not a direct reflection of me and how I feel. And I hope people know that. I hope people know that if they're not sensible to know that, then I don't know what to tell them. Rich, that's what he's doing. That's his whole thing. That's what he's doing. That's what he's talking about. But I have zero conversations about what his topics are going to be or what they are going to talk about. He is his own man, and that is his problem. AR, Austin Reeves, knows how I feel about him. All you got to do is look at us on the bench. Me and AR talk every single day. So AR knows how I feel about him, and I hope AR or his camp don't look at me and think this is words from me are coming through Rich." This is the first time I've seen LeBron be this kind of transparent and defensive, and I actually believe LeBron, and let me tell you why, Scap and Steve, you're already nodding your head. I believe LeBron. What I believe here is Rich Paul has gotten delusional. As LeBron James's career is coming to an end, and LeBron James has clearly lost power and leverage in the NBA and with the Lakers, Rich Paul actually thinks his agency and his brand and his relationship with Adele and all that, Rich Paul is feeling himself. And this, and I made this. I bet neither one of you have ever watched the show Power. Power is the wire for retards. Can we put up the little graphic I had made for? Yeah.
All right, let me stop it right there real quick. And why I would push back on this narrative that for Jason, like I said from the beginning, I think that this all scripted. Like Rich Paul is not going to make any statements without LeBron's approval, right? But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that there is a rift between LeBron James and Rich Paul. On paper, LeBron James is not the owner of Clutch Management, right? Because if he was on paper the owner, then that would be a definite conflict of interest. So if Rich Paul is the owner of Clutch Sports Management, then that means that Rich Paul has all of the leverage. So if they have a rift, then LeBron James, although that's his number one client, Rich Paul still have other clients. I think they have Clutch Sports probably have like about 200 clients. And LeBron James's career is winding down. Now, you don't want to split with LeBron James because he still has a lot of pull and a lot of leverage when it comes to like the sponsors like Nike and whoever else LeBron James do business with. So you'll be cutting yourself out of a whole lot of money right there, right? But Rich Paul still, in my opinion, have leverage. So he's not, that's why I don't think that I don't go with this narrative. It's not like Rich Paul don't have any leverage in that relationship at all. I think that those two trust each other. Now, what may happen is they might force LeBron James, he might get some pressure from somebody to he might get some pressure to really separate himself. But I don't know if it's going to work. So let me get back to what they're saying. I just disagree with that narrative.
If you've seen the show Power, there was a white guy named Tommy, black dude named Ghost. They were best friends, built this drug business. And then I think in the 6th season, they got at odds and started trying to kill each other. But anyway, Rich Paul and LeBron James got the exact same thing going on. And as I told you, Power is the wire for retards. So here's this big overgrown basketball retard. Here's the little midget sports agent retard who was selling T-shirts out of the back of his car, who now thinks he's some business mogul and business savant. Don't you know how many T-shirts I sold out of the back of my car? And now I'm an agent. And eventually these two guys are going to split apart and have a feud where LeBron has to fully distance himself from his midget Frankenstein that he created. Steve, you got the most disgusted look on your face, so I'm going to start with you.
This is Robbie from Hollywood, New York Security. There's a Laker that should be traded for the good of the franchise, all right? And if you asked 1,000 Laker fans, 2,000 of them would say it's the carpetbagger from Akron.
Michael, this is Robbie from Hollywood, New York.
This was a good idea. And wait a minute, are you that naive, Jason? I cannot believe you're going all Lynn Jones on me. You don't believe that Rich Paul and LeBron have had these discussions, man, we got to get rid of AR, man. Yeah, you're right. You don't think that discussion has never been had by those two, and Rich Paul was not intelligent enough not just to keep that in the bud? Really? And the other
Here's what I think, Steve. You could have the discussion without ever thinking Rich Paul would utter those words publicly in any capacity.
Right.
Because you got all, if I told you my private thoughts and discussions I had about this woman or that woman or whatever, where I'd be having it's like, and then you went somewhere and talked about how I feel about Tamron Hall or whatever, I'd be very upset. Or I can't.
Wow.
Let me give you another name that'll
to be
people.
fair, you've made those
Ryan McEnany, Kylie McEnany's sister or something. But if anyway, I'm joking. But I just don't think he expected Rich Paul to talk about it. This is so you and your boy have a conversation. You don't want everything going public.
Well, before I hand this off to Cap, who I'm sure has a lot to say, I recommended a book to Cap called Hollywood Ending. And it was a very good book. I forgot the author's name, but it was about the last 5-6 years of the Lakers' dysfunction since LeBron James came into my organization and made me a Laker fan in recess. This is just another chapter of that book.
Scap, your thoughts here. Who's right? Who's wrong?
Jason, I don't know. I think you're maybe Steve and I are giving LeBron and Rich Paul too much credit. Maybe you're right. Maybe we're inferring that these guys who are like the ultimate puppet masters of the NBA that have been since 2012, maybe you're right. Maybe they're both just idiots and neither one of them saw this coming. Perhaps. Maybe I have to rethink and reevaluate my whole take on this on the fly, because when I'm looking at this and when I heard these comments like a week ago, obviously I'm thinking, well, LeBron James sanctioned Rich Paul to make these comments on the podcast that Rich Paul only has because he and LeBron thought that would be a good idea too. I mean, this would be quite a power move, I would have to say, to go back to your show analogy, by Rich Paul. This guy who was literally, he's a construct of LeBron James. LeBron James built this guy to essentially help him collude around the NBA. And for whatever reason, the NBA continues to just turn a blind eye to it. They've allegedly done and conducted investigations into LeBron James's ties with Clutch Sports, and they find no wrongdoings or anything like that. And the way it's said, around Clutch hallways is that it's influence, not ownership by LeBron James. But everybody within the NBA, Jason, knows, everyone in NBA circles knows that LeBron James has been the primary recruiter for Clutch Sports, that he helped build Clutch Sports. I mean, are we really to believe that Rich Paul, a guy who at the time was like 32 years old, just started one of the biggest sports agencies in the NBA on his own, a guy, Jason, without even a college degree. Like, historically, agents are, lawyers or have law degrees.
All right, so that's all right. So this my final thoughts on that, though. LeBron James, like, he is definitely orchestrating everything that's going on with Rich Paul and this new, even on the podcast. I would believe, or what Jason Whitloch is saying, if it was like one statement that Rich Paul said, and he might have spoke out of turn, then that's one thing. But when you like, it's like a campaign that's going on, and this campaign also fits into a situation that would benefit LeBron James. None of this really benefits Rich Paul, except for in the end of it, he'll still get to be owner and he'll run Clutch Sports, right? But other than that, everything benefits LeBron James, and what benefits LeBron James will benefit Rich Paul. So it don't, right now at this point in their relationship, their business relationship, it don't make any sense for Rich Paul to go rogue, right? If he tried to cut off LeBron James and he tried to run off with Clutch Sports, for instance, like I said earlier, LeBron, like the sponsors and everybody is really following LeBron James. On paper, it looks like that Clutch Sports and Rich Paul is doing his thing, but basically it's all about LeBron James. So as soon as Rich Paul was to separate himself from Clutch and LeBron, his value would tank, right? And he knows that. So he's always aware of that. So he's not going to go out and really sabotage that relationship. Now, would LeBron James sabotage that? If he gets pressure from the right people and the right forces, yeah, he would get rid of Rich Paul and he would be able to restructure his business and rebuild his image and stuff like that. And Rich Paul will just be out in the cold. So Rich Paul, LeBron James basically holds most of the card and most of the leverage. Rich got a little bit of leverage, but without LeBron, there is no Clutch Sports management, and so this is all a campaign. Like, so if Jason said that, he spoke, Rich Paul spoke out of turn, you can't speak out of turn for an entire campaign. And that's what's going on, a campaign to keep LeBron James in LA and get Austin Reeves out of LA. So that it's part of a whole plan or a play. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.